Welcome to the Can't Stop the Growth podcast, the home service podcast dedicated to personal and leadership development. I'm your host, Chad Peterman, and if you're ready to grow as a leader, you've come to the right place. Let's jump in. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how we can lean into others to accomplish more than we thought possible. So the theme really today is going to be all about connection and how do we make a connection, whether that be out in the field with a customer or whether that be here in the office with a coworker. What does or what importance does connection play? Think about it for a minute. Think about in your life the connection that you have with others, the connections that you've built working with one another. All of those play a hugely important role in our success. We all know that we accomplish more together than we do by ourselves. And that is the case with really anything, and especially as it relates to leadership. John Maxwell says, touch a heart before you can ask for a hand. How many times do we find that gets out of order? We ask for a hand before we ever touch a heart. Think about it from a customer perspective. How many times do we go into a home only trying to sell something, only trying to push our agenda on that customer rather than building a relationship, rather than finding out about what they don't like about whatever it is we're there to fix or look after or maintain? How many times do we ask them how their day's going, what they're up to, if there's anything else we can help with? All of these things are the critical pieces to our success. It's not about how good of a salesperson you are or how good we are at our job. It's about making connection. The thing I love about the residential space that we are in is we get to go out and make a connection or have the opportunity to make a connection with, I think it is now over 400 homeowners a day. That's pretty remarkable. What a blessing, and also what a responsibility. They have called us because of what we do, but it's our job to show them that we are much more than someone who can fix your furnace or change out your water heater or change out your electrical panel. Because guess what? There's a whole lot of those people walking around. There's a ton of them. You'll probably see 3 or 4 of them today. But what separates you from the rest? There's a lot of people that can put in a furnace. But there's far fewer that can put in a furnace and also make an experience for a homeowner that they've never had before, regardless of what it was that they were having done at their house. And the same thing goes for internal connection. Anyone can get a manager title or a, supervisor title. But what separates the best from the rest? Well, when it comes down to it, it's not technical knowledge. It's not, computer skills. It's not all of these things. It's connection. It's an understanding that you care about one another. As I often say, leadership is super simple. It's simply about caring for others. That's all it is. Yet so often, we let the what we're here to do get in the way of making that connection. What if your goal today was to go into every home with the simple understanding that I am going to make a connection with this customer. I am going to make sure that this is the best thing they do all week. And that's going to be tough because they probably had Monday off. So you've got your work cut out for you. All right? Probably had Monday off, probably soaking in the sun. It's been nice out, all of this stuff. But yet you've got to go in and make it the best hour, the best day, if you're there installing something, whatever it is. You've got a duty to go in there and make the best connection possible. The cool thing is that the rest will probably take care of itself if that is your number one focus. Actually, I almost guarantee it will take care of itself. If you go in and that customer, after you leave, says, that was the best experience I've had all week, guess what? The rest will take care of itself. And it will do it every time. And it'll be a hell of a lot more enjoyable than trying to push something on somebody or trying to, finagle in this deal or that deal or whatever it may be, because people buy from people they like, people they trust, people they have a connection with. When it comes to leadership, well, you're selling yourself every single day. That's what it comes down to. You're selling the fact that you care about somebody else. And that sounds kind of negative, right? Sounds kind of like, what do you mean selling myself? Well, think about it. When you are trying to build a relationship with somebody, you're selling yourself. You're reaching out. You're showing them you care. You're doing things for them. You're asking them how their day is. That's selling yourself. Well, when we try to push our agenda on somebody, when we try to only make them do something or instruct them or, hey, do this, do that, do it this way, we lose sight of that connection. We lose sight of what it is that is actually going to produce a result. No one willingly goes out and does a good job for someone they don't like, for someone they don't trust. They may do it for a little bit, but it's not going to last long. There's not a lot of longevity in that relationship, or going to be. So what are we doing each and every day to make connections, to build those relationships with those that we work with, those that we may oversee, and most importantly, those customers that we serve? What are we doing to build those relationships? Think about it today. Think about those relationships and think about it from the other person's perspective. How would they rate you? How would they rate your connection? Customers get to rate us all the time, right? About what it is that they do. We got a lot of answers. We got a lot of solutions. How would those that you lead rate you? Where would they put you? Would they say, I don't know if they really care. I'm not really sure. How would your peers rate you? Would they say you're the type of person that would always help and always lend a hand and always be there? Or are you kind of the person that's just kind of out for themselves? Just kind of, I'll be there, but, I don't really want to. No one probably wants to be that person, right? think if you asked everybody, do you want to be the reliable, someone that someone can count on? Most people are probably going to answer, yeah, I'd like to be that person. But it's when we forget that connection, that relationship is what must be nurtured in order to build that trust in the eyes of others. I oftentimes think of, there's this big debate on, management versus leadership. And, I think that there's a little bit of both needed. I guess the difference being that, management is, hey, holding people accountable and, measurements, and these are the things that we need to hit in order to, move along and all of that stuff. And, to me, I think there needs to be a level of both. But at the end of the day, when you're managing people, you can't manage people, right? I mean, no one wants to be managed. There's got to be a level of it. But at the end of the day, you have to make a connection with people, or your management of them is going to be awfully frustrating, because no one is going to want to do what it is that you need them to do. So, are you running a department, or are you building relationships? I feel like the latter sounds more fun, right? Like getting to know people, letting people do what they're great at, putting them in the right position, supporting them, cheering them on, doing all of those things. And yes, are there times when, you got to have a, heart-to-heart talk, or, make a course correction? Yeah, but if you have that relationship built, guess what? That is a welcoming conversation. Yeah, absolutely. I want to help you get better. Yeah, hey, where can we do this a little bit better, or take a different approach here, or whatever that is. And it's welcoming. And oftentimes, the improvement skyrockets because that relationship is so strong. The good thing is that this isn't super difficult, right? Again, simple stuff. I'm not smart enough for the complicated stuff. I just keep it simple. Keep it simple. And understand that we need to lean into others in order to accomplish our goals. Another quote by Maxwell that I often think about when I think about my wife putting up with me is that 90% of the art of living consists of getting along with people you cannot understand. You'll notice I preface that by when I think about my wife putting up with me. Anybody have a spouse that does things that you just can't understand? Just don't understand why they would do that? And you probably think there's probably things that I do that they've mentioned once or twice that they just don't understand why I do. I think that's higher than 90%. Of the art of living consists of getting along with people you can't understand. I've mentioned a number of times, I don't understand why we fill up a cup and leave it in the sink. I don't understand that. Like, I just rinse it off, dump it out, move on, put it in the dishwasher. We're all good. But there's also a lot of things that I do that are probably fairly annoying. I'm very I got a lot of yeah. It's not. It probably wouldn't be real easy living with me. But my wife does. Kids have to, so that's good for me. So we'll keep that train going. But the one thing that I have come to understand is that regardless of how I like the dishes done or put in a certain spot, there is no right or wrong way, right? There's the way that I would like it done, but that doesn't necessarily make it right. It's right in my head. But the reason that we oftentimes don't understand others is because we want to be right. And we automatically view that other person as wrong if they don't do it like we do it. Think about all the things that you've argued about that you're arguing because you do it a different way. It's not the right way because it could be done a different way. But it is because you like it done a certain way. And the reason I bring this up is because when it comes to building relationships, oftentimes the rub in a relationship is not due to the right or wrong way. It's due to what you think is the right way versus what someone else thinks is the right way. We do a lot of work on the disc profiles. And I've talked about this before, but one of the things that I feel like I learned is that, oftentimes when looking at it as it relates to kind of understanding others and understanding where we sit, is we often will take a disc profile, and what's everybody do? They celebrate where they're at, right? Like, oh yeah, that's me. Yep, yeah, that looks just like me, and my brother, he's about as D as they get. Like there ain't no coming back from that. It is, that's who he is. But the one thing that I've challenged him, and I obviously challenge myself as well, based on where my profile is. But it's what they teach in DISC is that you have to lean into other people's personality. And so oftentimes we celebrate our own, but as it relates to building relationships, as it relates to arguing over what I think is the right way, we really have to stop celebrating who we are on the disc profile and start working to celebrate who other people are. Because when we celebrate them, while their way of thinking, their understanding of situations is vastly different than ours, that is how we create relationships. That is what the leader is responsible for doing. And we're all leaders, but we all have to lean into that other's personality. Here's an example for you. I am a C personality. They say it's across the disc profile is the person that you will struggle the most to understand. Just so happens my wife is on the other side. She's the I of the group. So she always wants to be doing something. During COVID, I thought she was always like moping around the house because she wants to get out and talk to people. Like, I need to go into the office. They won't let us go into the office. It's terrible. I'm like, seems like you got a pretty good setup here. What's the problem? Because I could sit at home perfectly by myself, read a book, do whatever, watch a show, no big deal. She needs to talk to people. So as it relates to that situation, in order to lean into her, well, sometimes I got to get out of my comfort zone. Sometimes I got to go do stuff with her because that's what she likes to do. That's part of a relationship. And, obviously she would probably say that sometimes, well, let's just hang out at home tonight because that's what I want to do. Again, these are silly examples, but just trying to get to the point of, while you have your way of doing things, the only way to gain influence, the only way to become that leader is to start leaning into other people and how they operate. And it's a little bit uncomfortable, kind of a little bit uncomfortable to think about. Well, hold on a second. I think I've figured out kind of how I do things, and everybody ought to just follow my lead. But it's really understanding that I'm going to get more done through others, and thus I need to lean into their style. We often talk about, having a one-on-one conversation or, whatever it may be, and it's understanding how that person processes information, how that person relates to things, how some people you can be very blunt with, and others, hey, we're going to have to kind of, take this a little bit softer, whatever that may be. And you're probably thinking, yeah, there's some people in my life, yeah, they react differently to things, they process information. Some, hey, a bulleted list works great for some people. Other people, they need to touch it, they need to see it, whatever it may be. That's a big thing in our industry is, technicians, they're hands-on. Like, don't show it to me in a book. Like, I need to go see it. Like, open up that furnace and show me where it's at so I can visualize it. There again, those are all different ways of learning, different ways of thinking. But understand that your way is your way. It's not the right way. It doesn't mean it's the wrong way. It just means that there's multiple ways of doing things. And in order to make a connection, we just have to be aware of that. We've got to understand that things can be done different ways. Information can be processed in different ways. And if you keep that top of mind, people will start to gravitate towards you. People are repelled by those that, oh God, that guy always has to be right. It's his way or the highway. I can't believe she would do that. I would do it like this. Some of the most important questions that you can ask as a leader, a colleague, a technician, someone out in front of the customer, whatever that is, some of the most important questions you can ask are, what do you think about that? How would you do that? What are your thoughts? Yeah, go ahead and do that. Because what those questions lead to is empowerment. And people are attracted to those that empower them. And empowerment is not something like that you grant. Empowerment is simply showing that you care about their perspective. They may tell you something totally off the wall that isn't right. Well, then you can have that conversation. But it's understanding that there is very little in this world that is right and wrong. When it comes to relationships, there is the law. Don't get me wrong. Follow the law. Abide by the speed limit. Put your seatbelt on. But as it relates to relationships and how we interact in this world, there is very little that is right and wrong. It's all a matter of opinion. And when we understand that, your ability to make connections will grow immensely. Because you will be looked at as a center of empowerment. People are attracted to those people. They want to be with them. Mainly, there again, use the world we live in to your advantage. The more you can empower people, it's not a huge hill to climb because there's a lot of people that, I mean, look at the news, for instance. My word. They definitely think that there is a right and a wrong. And sometimes they argue about the same exact thing. And you're like, well, that's weird that it can be on this station, it's this way, and on this station, it's the same situation, it's completely opposite. This is wild. The more that you focus on others and what you can do to help them, the more your influence will grow. What would you do with more influence? What could you do with more influence? How do you gain that? It's not tenure. It's not technical ability. It's not a skill set. It's not a position. You gain influence by making connections. And making connections is simply looking to empower others. So how could you do that today? You've probably got a list of to-dos of what you need to do, what you need to get accomplished. But a lot of those things probably have an element or probably have a piece of them where you're going to come in contact with another. And if you can come in contact with another, you have an opportunity to influence. When you, when you are gaining influence, people understand that you are someone to be trusted. And trust is obviously the basis for every relationship that we have. There's no healthy relationship that doesn't have trust built into it. That is at the base. And what we get with that and the element of leadership that is then coupled with that trust is having that plan. Because once people are attracted to you and they want to follow you, well, then they're going to look at you for the plan. They're going to look at you to help them. You know, most leadership situations evolve. They don't just happen. They don't just, one day I wasn't leading anybody and today I am. And understand that the key to building those relationships, the key to creating that trust is understanding, being able to see what is going to happen before it happens. And that's the same with building those relationships. Is when I go into a situation where I want to build a relationship, you know, essentially looking to see what may happen should I do X. Should I ask him how his day's going and congratulate him on a great day yesterday? How will they respond to that? Well, the reason you're doing it is because you genuinely care about that person. And that care for that person is what gains you that influence. So being able to see things before they happen. The one thing I've always been amazed by in this industry is an installer's ability to essentially take something out, start new, and then be able to see it before it's there. Like, I can't do that. My mind does not work like that. But the ability to see and know that, well, this is going to need to come over here, and I need to build this, and all of those things are just blow me away. The other thing that blows me away is like watching someone if you ever seen anyone lay out plumbing in a building like that they concrete over, a most amazing thing. They have like these little strings that they're running places and they're looking off this map, and I'm like, what are you doing here? But it all hits right where it's supposed to, right? I think about like a toilet in this building. Like before this building was here, someone had to like take a measurement and make sure that that toilet hit right there where it's supposed to. It's amazing to me. It's being able to see something before. I would assume that in their mind they can probably see that before it's there. The same thing goes with leadership. Because a leader must always have a plan. They must be able to see that plan before anything actually happens. Now, a lot of the times, this skill is built through experience, right? The other way that it can be built is through preparation, through understanding, through asking the advice of others. So as you look to build on your leadership skill, one of the things I would ask you to pay attention to is understanding the plan, thinking about things before they happen. Think about the last time you were maybe out on a job and something didn't go as planned. Sometimes can't be avoided. Things happen. But has there ever been a time that something happened, and if you would have prepared even 5 more minutes, or taken a walk around the house, or whatever it is, could you have avoided whatever happened? The best leaders can see that stuff, that preparation, that understanding of what could happen, that knowledge of how the day is going to unfold, or where people need to be, or who needs to be on what seat on the bus. They can see all that. And the reason that they can see all that is because they care about the people that are going to be going to do those things. They want to set their people up for success. Not their own success. If they were out for just themselves, well, there would be no reason to prepare. You guys go take care of it. I'll see you later. When you lead, you have to be looking out for the best interest of others. It's part of leadership. You have to be able to see what they may run into, what roadblocks they may have, before sometimes they even see them. We can probably all think as those of you that are parents about your kids. How many times have you kind of guided them in a certain direction knowing that, hey, I did that once. Don't want them to do that. Or maybe mention something, hey, you ought to check that out. Or yeah, that'd be really interesting. Or encourage them in some activity that they were doing because you knew that it would be beneficial for them in the long run. That's being a leader. As a parent, you care probably more about your children than you do yourself. You want to protect them at all cost. Sometimes maybe a little too much. What if you looked at your relationships with your customers and your coworkers from that same lens? Now again, that's not natural, right? That's a very well, I don't care about Jerry that much, he's an all right guy, but I'm kind of looking out for myself here. But if you did care about Jerry, it's a made-up person, by the way. If you did care about Jerry in the same fashion that you care about your kids, if you were looking out for Jerry and, knowing what's best for him or trying to remove roadblocks so he could be successful, what do you think Jerry would do for you? What if you could not only look at Jerry like that, but you could look at Sam and Samantha and the whole gang? What would they do for you if you looked at them from the same lens that you look at your children? I would venture to guess that they would do a whole lot for you. They would run through walls. They would take care of customers, do a great job. Because they would know that you care. We try to show our children every day that we care. Sometimes they respect that more than others. Son can't talk yet, but I'm sure he's looked at me a few times like, ugh. But I have his sister to keep me in line. People follow those that believe in them, that care about them, that want to see them succeed. And you may not be in what is deemed a leadership role or a manager or whatever it is, but I'm telling you, the more that you grasp onto that, the fact that you don't have to have some title, you don't have to have anything to gain influence. All of that stuff will come. Again, what did we say? Touch a heart before you ask for a hand. You have the opportunity to do this every day. You will find yourself in that leadership role. You will find yourself doing things in your career you never thought possible by the amount of care that you extend to others, by the emphasis you put on your relationships. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't about just being a nice guy. Yes, that is part of it. The other piece is, you got to go do the work. You got to put in the work. You got to help people. You got to do the work yourself. That's that plan piece. So putting in the work, caring for others, you will find yourself exactly where you want to be. We talked last week about dreaming big and setting that vision for yourself and for your life and for where it is that you want to be. It all starts with this. Not many people set out to aspire to do great things and say, I think I'm going to do this all by myself. It doesn't happen. You can't. And you could do quite a bit by yourself, but you're going to hit a ceiling, and what I'm here to tell you is that ceiling is going to be pretty low because you need others. Everybody in this room, we all need each other. None of us can do what we do by ourselves. I mean, think about how many people it takes to get you to the first house that you go to today. People ask me what I love about this business. I love the people, and I love the chain of people that you must link together to provide service. I would venture to guess that to get one person to a home probably takes maybe 30 people. If you think about it from all the way, like someone had to buy your truck. Someone had to stock the thing. Someone had to register the plate. Someone had to, get insurance on the thing. Someone had to buy all the stuff on there. Someone had to answer the phone. Someone had to set up the phone system so that we could answer the phone. Someone had to train you on how to do what it is that you're going to do. Someone had to dispatch the call. Someone had to call the customer. All of those things take each other, take the relationships that we build. On that one call, all 30 of those people trust each other. They may not even know each other. Heck, I don't even know who registered the truck. I trust them because it's registered. Or we haven't got pulled over yet, so if we're doing good. It's got a plate on it somehow. Where can you strengthen the relationships that you have? And how will that lead to your success? As you think about where it is that you want to go and the success that you want to have, think about how you can build relationships with those around you. If you put that as your key focus, building these relationships, you will have no choice but to succeed. Two of the most important things I do on a daily basis is when I get into the office, walk around and say good morning to everybody and write thank you notes. Two most important things I do in a day. Because I want to make sure that everybody knows that I care, and I want to build relationships. The more relationships that we can build, guess what? The more customers we can serve. The bigger impact we can make on our team and the customers that we serve. It's all built on relationships. You are here on our team because someone built a relationship with you at the very outset. You were intrigued by the team that you talked to. You were intrigued by whoever you interviewed with. You were intrigued enough to show up on the first day. And if you really think about it, the reason you're here is because of those that sit in this room. No one wants to work at a sucky company. No one wants to work somewhere that no one gives a crap. It all comes down to relationships. It all comes down to leaning into others. Everyone here in this room can probably think of someone on our team that believes in you. And that's probably a big reason why you got up this morning early and came here. Because there is someone on our team that believes in you. There's probably people on our team that you may not even know believe in you, but they do, because they trust you to go out and do a great job every day. So know that. Take comfort in the fact that there are people on this team that believe in you. And then take that and go believe in somebody else. Make sure somebody else is having a great day. Make sure somebody else knows that you believe in them. And you will have no choice but to gain influence. And the more influence that we all can gain together, the better this place will become. Because we'll solve problems, we'll fix things, we'll celebrate things. All of that will come full circle. Again, this whole thing is super simple. If there was one thing I could do is to take leadership off the pedestal that it's on, because it's super simple. We all have a chance every single day. It is important, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I feel like when it's on a pedestal, everybody thinks that like, well, I got to read like 30 books before I can ever be a leader. No, you just got to go build a relationship with somebody and talk to them and understand how you can help them. Tell them have a great day. Tell them best of luck. All of those things lead to influence. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, I would greatly appreciate if you would rate the show or share it with someone who might enjoy it. As the name suggests, we are always looking to grow, so let me know in the comments what you thought and if there is anything you would like to hear on future episodes. Come back again soon, and always keep growing out there.